Hey, this is C&D channel. I'm Chris. This is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my predictions for UFC Fight Night 26, Sonnen versus Shogun, which happens on August 17th, and it is the launch of UFC Fox Sports 1 and UFC on Fox Sports 1. I'd also like to plug my friend's company, Born to Fight Kimonos. You can check out like their Facebook page and whatnot. So yeah, overall though, this card looks really good. One of the best free cards that you can get. Pretty much, it's like there's a 6-fight main card, but the fact of the matter is, the first 10 fights are all on Fox Sports 1. So, and then the remaining 3 are on Facebook. For me, it starts at 1:30 for Facebook and the West Coast, 3 p.m. for Fox, for Fox Sports 1, and it it goes like what, 11, 10, 11, something like that. So yeah, really good card, good names here. Some pretty good matchups as well. A lot of some prospects and whatnot. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, we have Mauricio Shogun versus Chael Sonnen. You know, with Shogun, I mean, right now he's trading wins and losses. He's a former UFC light heavyweight champion. He does have strong Muay Thai, really good knees, and his light kicks are really good, and a really good chin. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, but the only guy he's ever submitted is Kevin Randleman. He has, however, used his Jiu-Jitsu to get out of bad situations. When he got dropped by Dan Henderson, he used a half-guard sweep / I think leg lock attempt to get it back up to his feet. Problem with Shogun, he's kind of past his prime. You see it in his cardio. His fighting style has gone down to just brawling. He's not very technical anymore. And one thing that really hurts him is that he does have weak takedown defense. Yeah, I'm saying in the UFC, Forrest Griffin's taking him down, Mark Coleman's taking him down, Chuck Liddell's taking him down, Machida took him down. I want to say Vera took him down. Gustafson's taking him down. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong here, but I think every fight he's had in the UFC, against every opponent that he's had in the UFC, Shogun has been taken down by that guy. Now, why that's so important? Chael Sonnen is primarily a wrestler. He trains at a Team Quest. He is on a 2-fight losing streak to Anderson Silva and John Jones. However, it's Anderson Silva and John Jones. Stylistically, he should be able to take Shogun down. The way Sonnen works, he goes for a takedown, pushes him up against the cage if he needs to, and he's really relentless about getting those takedowns. He's always pushing forward, has a good chin, and once he's on top, he does what I call stay busy ground and pound. Fitz does it as well. To some extent, Ben Askren does that as well. Where he's constantly active, but he's not doing the type of ground and pound that would greatly damage or even finish the opponent. Staying active so the ref doesn't stand you up. And Sonnen's pretty much a master. He was doing that against Anderson. In the first fight, he did it against Marquardt, Dan Miller, a lot of guys. And that's what I think Chael Sonnen's going to do in this fight. I think it's 5 rounds. One thing about Shogun's cardio, too, he doesn't have bad cardio just because. One thing that's noticeable is that his cardio tends to get drained when he's grappling. And once again, Sonnen, takedown, stay busy, ground and pound, rinse and repeat. Sonnen's submission defense isn't that great. 8 losses by sub out of 13 losses. However, like I said, with Shogun, he only has 1 actual submission victory. That's against Kevin Randleman in Pride by a leg lock. Is Shogun this great guard player? Is he going to throw triangles and arm bars on Sonnen? I don't know. He is a black belt. It's possible. Is it probable? I don't know if it's that probable, though. I see Sonnen just winning with the superior wrestling, strong top control, and stay busy ground and pound. Next fight on the card, we have Travis Browne versus Alistair Overeem. Travis Browne's a guy I like, you know, heavy-handed guy, trains at Jackson's. Well, I'm a fan of, you know. Good overall kickboxing. For a guy his size, he's like, what, 6'7", 6'8", something like that. He moves really well for his size. His grappling is improving. You saw the arm triangle against Chad Griggs. And I've seen him utilize takedowns. You know, he's taken down like Chakongo when they fought. I mean, I've seen some form of takedown, but Rob Broughton, he kept taking him down. But Browne's cardio so far hasn't been great. He's mainly a first round type of guy. Also, Overeem's cardio honestly isn't that great either. However, also Overeem is probably the more complete fighter. You know, 15 of his wins are by KO TKO, 19 wins by sub. The alarming thing is, out of his 12 losses, 7 of them are by KO TKO. He's 33 years old. He's training with the Black Zillions. He's a K1 world champion. Really good knees. I mean, if Alistair Overeem has a really strong point, it's his knees. And he does have very underrated grappling. His takedown ability is good. His submission ability is solid as well. The thing, I'm going to go with Overeem to win this. I think he's a more well-rounded guy. However, his chin. This guy, he fights heavyweights, and he just does not have a good chin. You know, like I said, 7 of his 12 losses are by KO or TKO. Hit the guy clean. He's going to get really rocked. Maybe even dropped or knocked out. But like I said, if Overeem... One thing about the K1 style, you saw with like Tywin Sponge, for example, too, is there's definitely a lack of combination punching as with guys like Overeem. He'll throw a lot of single strikes, a single left hook, maybe a 2-strike combo, you know, like kick here. He will throw those knees though, in bunches. Whether that works for or against him, I don't know. Overeem's not the most mobile guy, whereas Browne does tend to move around a lot. Well-roundedness, though, I mean, you got to give it to Overeem. Overeem has a cleaner striking technique, better knees, obviously, probably better on the ground, too. I'm going to go with Alistair Overeem to win this one. Okay, next fight after that, we have Alcantara versus Uriah Faber. This one, I'm going to say right now, I'm going to go with the upset here. And it's not logical, you know. Total, you know, just a gut feeling type of thing. The reason why I say this is Uriah Faber, besides the champions of his weight class, whether it's Dominic Cruz, Renan Barão, Jose Aldo at featherweight, Mike Browne at featherweight even though I think Faber would beat Browne at this time, he tends to beat everyone that isn't a champion. Now you're probably thinking like, hey, why are you picking Alcantara then? You know, 28-4 record, 1 no contest, 12 wins by KO TKO, 12 wins by sub. He's 32 years old. He's big for the weight class. This guy used to fight at 155. Knocked out Ricardo Lamas at 155. He was already a good featherweight. He's just a big bantamweight now. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, crafty on the ground, and his Muay Thai is really good. My thing is with Alcantara is that he can use his range, striking. That's one thing with a lot of the alpha male guys. I don't know if it's been fixed per se since then, since Dwayne Ludwig is coaching them now. Guys who can utilize range tend to beat the alpha male guys. That's the thing, because they have a hard time getting into takedowns. And the guys that can utilize range, though, tend to be the champions, like the Barraus, the Jose Aldos, and whatnot. And then, to some extent, Dominic Cruz as well, actually, now that I think about it. I think that Alcantara can utilize range in this fight to keep Faber at bay, to make it hard for him to get the takedowns and beat him up on the feet. However, my cause for concern here, Uriah Faber, 20-6 record, 7 wins by KO or TKO, 16 wins by sub, 34 years old, 2-fight win streak. Like I said, he beats pretty much everyone that isn't a champion. So that's why, it's, I'm not super certain here. I'm going more with the gut feeling here. The thing that also makes me concerned for Alcantara is the Hakon Diaz fight. Hakon Diaz was able to impose his wrestling and top control game to win the fight. Can Uriah Faber take Alcantara down? Good chance. I mean, Faber's a really good wrestler. He's always pushing forward, really aggressive. His cardio is really good as well. He's good ground and pound. And very underrated Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, man. This guy can take the back a lot of times. Choke guys out like Menjivar or like Jorgensen, among others. And his front choke series, his guillotine is really good as well. His scrambling ability is really good as well. And with Dwayne Ludwig as their head coach, his striking, just like pretty much everyone else from Alpha Male, has been improving. But like I said, I kind of have a feeling, just a gut feeling here, this isn't the most logical pick, that Alcantara can utilize his range to beat up Faber on the feet, make it hard for him to get takedowns. And if he does take him down, he is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. And even if he wants a Hakon Diaz fight, Alcantara did manage to get back to his feet a lot of times. So, he's a good scrambler in his own right as well. Gonna go with the upset here. I know a lot of people haven't heard about Uriah Alcantara. He's a guy I've been very high on ever since he entered the WEC. Really good fighter. He's big for the weight class. Well-rounded guy. Gonna go with the upset here. I think my thing is that he can kind of emulate. Alcantara can kind of emulate what Renan Barão was able to do to Uriah Faber. That's my thing. And contrary to what Joe Rogan was saying about the leg kicks being a big deal, it was actually the hands that were the thing that was really keeping Faber at bay. But Alcantara has good hands, but he also has front kicks as well, so he can utilize both. We'll see how it goes. I could be dead wrong here. I can see Faber getting takedowns at will, ground and pound, outworking him. I mean, it's very possible. It's very possible for Faber to win this fight. I'm kind of hedging here, but I really think, I just got a feeling that Alcantara is going to win this one. Okay, next fight after that, Mike Pyle fights Matt Browne. This is a really interesting fight. For one thing is, both of these guys' weakness is the other guy's strength. Matt Browne, out of his 11 losses, 9 of them are by sub. Mike Pyle, even though he's been knocking dudes out as of late, is really crafty on the ground. And 16 of his 25 wins are by submission. He is a very good grappler, very good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I know he was a coach, actually, in Extreme Couture. He trains at Syndicate MMA now. Matt Browne, though, he's been training at AMC Pancration with Matt Hume. Now, in the stand-up, Mike Pyle's stand-up has been improving. His defense and his overall chin isn't great. You watch a lot of his fights, if it's against, James Head, Neer, Rick Story, he gets wobbled when he gets hit clean or flat out dropped. Matt Browne hits pretty hard, and he's seen it as of late. Knocked out Jordan Meehan, knocked out Mike Swick across the cage. This is a really interesting fight in that the guy, both these guys kind of resurging. They're both on good win streaks against respectful guys. Jordan Mean actually is a prospect I'm really high on, and it was incredible. Like really strong win in my opinion for Matt Browne. Mike Pyle, though, coming off that win over Rick Story, good win there. Beat another decent prospect in James Head, beat Near, So Mike Pyle's, both these guys are definitely around the same level. Both of these guys' career trajectory at this time is around the same area, They're both resurging. With that said, like I said, with Mike Pyle, strong ground game, improving striking, shown KO power in his latest fights. He's a good wrestler, too. Lots of experience, 25-8 record with 1 draw. Chin isn't the greatest. With Matt Browne, tough and gritty guy. This guy is not a guy you're going to beat with strikes. You saw in the Stephen Thompson fight. You saw in the Jordan Mean fight. Body, I think he got into body. Managed to get the win. Always pushing forward. Super aggressive. His kickboxing is good. And actually, Brad's tie clinch has been greatly improving as well. Both are tie clinches. Or knees from the tie clinch is improving. Matt Browne, tall and lanky guy. Really good chin. So has some really ugly fights. Matt Browne isn't a finesse fighter. His fights tend to be ugly, drag him down, barn burner types. His cardio is really good, and if he sees the other guy wilting in cardio, he will jump on it. One thing that's really interesting about Browne, despite his submission defense not being good, his offensive grappling and offensive submission ability is very good. If you watch the Mike Swick fight, he's going for triangles from the bottom. Even the Chris Lytle fight, he almost got a Darce choke. This guy has good offensive grappling. It's his submission defense that always tends to suffer. With that said, I think Matt Browne has been making the improvements, more so than Mike Pyle, in his weakness. Matt Browne's wrestling is improving. His ground is improving, I'm going to go with Matt Browne to win this one. Okay, next fight after that, you have Uriah Hall versus John Doomsday Howard. So, Howard makes his UFC return at middleweight. He's going to be kind of he was a pretty big welterweight, but not like a huge welterweight. He wasn't like the tallest one or anything like that. But he's been doing well outside of the UFC, but he usually fights at 170. Has a 20-8 record with 9 wins by KO TKO, 6 wins by sub. 30 years old on a 2-fight win streak. With Howard, he does have good Muay Thai and some pretty heavy hands. The guy's knocked out like Daniel Roberts, Dennis Hallman, and some other guys. He's got a good chin, It's grappling, not the best. Not terrible per se, just not the best. Uriah Hall, though, prospect I'm still looking out for despite losing to Kevin Gastelum. 7-3 record, 4 wins by KO TKO, 2 wins by sub. He's training at Team Tiger Schulman, but I think he actually trained, where did he train? Like at Rain, or he trained somewhere down in California or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Good Muay Thai, throws some really unorthodox strikes, some good knees and good kicks. His ground is not the strongest of all, but it is improving, and his takedown and defense is improving. If you watch the Kevin Gastelum fight, he got his own takedowns. When he did get taken down, he'd get back to his feet. He's really explosive. I hate to use that term, but I don't know what else to say. But yeah, he's good at getting back to his feet when he is taken down. I'm going to go through Uriah Hall to win this one, And despite having that loss against Gastelum, I think he's still a prospect to look out for. And also, John Doomsday Howard is taking this fight on short notice. So, I'll go with Hall to win this one. Next fight after that, Michael Johnson fights Joe Lauzon. Gonna say right now, this is not a good stylistic matchup for Johnson. He has a 12-8 record, and out of those 8 losses, 6 of them are by submission. You know, he recently got submitted by Lauzon in his last fight. You know, Johnson was a prospect I was looking out for a while. You know, he looked like he was turning a corner, beat Tony Ferguson, looked really good, and then he lost like Miles Jury. He's not great on the ground. I mean, that's the thing. He's not great out off his back. And that's one thing with the Blackzilians in general. If you watch a good amount of Blackzilians, they're not that great off their back. Michael Johnson, watch James Tahuna versus Ryan Jimmo. Jimmo's just a fish out of water off his back. When Melvin Gillard was fighting out of the Blackzilians, I mean, he just looks like a fish out of water off his back. A good amount of their guys just aren't great off their back, you know? Not just that, they just look like a fish out of water there. Despite that, though, Johnson, he is a good striker, you know? Throws good kicks and whatnot. Almost head kicked Lauzon. Finish him with a head kick, almost. And his offensive wrestling isn't that bad. The other thing with Johnson is that his takedown defense at times can look good, but then at other times it'll look really bad. I think he gets overcommits maybe into stand-up. And that's the thing with when you find a guy like Joe Lauzon, 22-8 record, 18 of those wins are by submission. He's a really aggressive guy, always pushing forward, and super crafty on the ground. I mean, this is a guy that you'll see do it's like crazy chimeras, rear naked chokes, whatever. Striking's actually pretty decent too. It's not the best. His cardio though isn't good. He's a very much a first rounder. He'll look great in the first round, but you know, he tends to fade as the fight goes on. Always a game opponent. You watch like the Jim Miller fight, for example. I mean, he's that type of guy that's always in the fight, win or lose. He's always looking for the finish, win or lose, you know? And actually, all of his wins are by finish. Out of his 22 wins, 4 of them are by KO TKO, 18 by sub. And out of his 8 losses, 3 of them are by KO TKO and 3 of them are by sub. So, only 2 times has he ever gone to decision in his pro MMA career. Not a great solid matchup for Michael Johnson. I can see Lauzon eventually being able to take the fight to the ground and possibly getting the submission on Johnson. So I'll go Joe Lauzon to win that one. Okay, on to the prelims, which will also be on Fox Sports 1. Got a really good fight between some top bantamweights as Michael McDonald fights Brad Pickett. So Michael McDonald is coming off the loss to Hendon Burrell. But nonetheless, 15-2 record, 9 wins by KO TKO, 4 wins by sub. Thing of note with Michael McDonald, he's only 22, man. Good kickboxer with some heavy hands. One of his problems, though, in the Hendon Burrell fight is that he does have a tell, and that you can see him loading up a lot of times. Burrell was able to time that after a while. And the thing with Michael McDonald, too, he is a good wrestler, and his ground game is solid as well. Brad Pickett, though, well-rounded guy. Guy I'm a big fan of as well. 23-7 record, 7 wins by KO TKO, 10 wins by sub. He also has 3 losses by sub. 34 years old, and trains out of American Top Team. Really aggressive guy, always pushing forward. Really good chin. Watch like the Eddie Wineland fight, for example, man. This guy's getting hit in the face by right hand so many times. I think he got dropped, but, you know, he is still in the fight. Super game opponent. Something of a brawler in the stand-up. I was watching like the Damacio Page fight. That fight was just all over the place, you know. Great fight, you know, really fun to watch. And he's an underrated grappler. His ground game is really good. See that in a lot of his fights. He actually beat Demetrius Johnson pretty much with his wrestling and grappling. Also, like his fight against Mike Easton, really fun fight. Did want to stand up. I think he managed to take down Easton as well. Good scrambler as well. Well, you know what? Despite that, I gotta go with Michael McDonald, man. This guy, little more finesse in the stand-up. He's not quite the brawler, He's a good counter puncher as well. I think he can hang on the ground with Pickett. I think they might cancel each other on the ground. I think it'll be a fun fight, but I think McDonald is just a little more technically savvy than Pickett. I can see him tagging him, maybe take a couple, but for the most part, I see Michael McDonald winning this one. Next fight after that is between two featherweight prospects here, who I don't want to see either of these guys lose, to be honest. Conor McGregor fights Max Holloway. Max Holloway is taking this fight on short notice. He has a 7-2 record with 2 wins by KO TKO, 5 wins by decision. 21 years old. He trains at Gracie Technics. I think Dustin Kimura also trains there as well. He's a good kickboxer with really good composure. He uses body punches a lot of times, along with an array of different kicks and whatnot as well. He uses combinations. Max Holloway, 21 years old, really good prospect, good at using range and whatnot. But he is fighting Conor McGregor here, who is a finisher. 13-2 record, 12 wins by KO TKO, 1 win by sub. He has 2 losses. Both his losses are by submission. The thing is, win or lose, Conor McGregor's fights go to a finish. They don't go to decision. He's only 24 years old, so both these guys are very young in their MMA careers. McGregor's on a 9-fight win streak. And he has good boxing, really accurate, throws combinations. You watch the Brimage fight. I mean, the finishing sequence was a 5-punch combo. Every punch connected. I mean, that's the thing with McGregor. There's a lot of hype behind McGregor, too. I think, and I'm actually going to go with McGregor to win this one. I think it does hurt Holloway that he's taking his fight on short notice. Last time he took a fight on short notice was against Leonard Garcia, and he didn't look very good in that outing. That really hurts him. Stylistically, both these guys are pretty technical. Conor tends to just throw more hands. Holloway, you'll see a lot more kicks. I thought Holloway beat Dennis Bermudez in his last fight, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't think he'll go to the ground, and even if grappling is involved, Holloway does have some solid takedown defense. I don't think the fight will hit the ground. So I see a lot of stand-up. I think the thing that hurts Holloway is that he's taking the fight on short notice. I'll go with Conor McGregor to win this one. And next right after that, we have Mike Browne versus Steven Siler. Now, Siler is just that guy that came out of the Ultimate Fighter. I think he lost to Diego Brandao. People didn't think much of him, and he did pretty well when he got in the UFC. Did pretty well. 22-10 record, 2 wins by KO TKO, 13 subs, 4 of his losses by KO TKO, and 5 losses are by sub. He's 26-year-old, trains at Pitt Elevated. Good grappler. I liked his fight his last fight against Holloway was a lot of fun. Good in the scramble. Overall, his strength mainly is in the ground. Stand-up is improving, Mike Thomas Browne, though, you got the former WEC featherweight champion. One of the things that hurts Mike Browne here, though, he last fought in May 2012 when he beat Daniel Pineda. 26-8 record, very experienced guy. 5 wins by KO TKO, 13 wins by sub. He's 37 years old, too. He's on a 2-fight win streak, though. Trains at ATT. Decent kickboxing, strong wrestling, really experienced guy. Went up against guys like Aldo, Faber. A lot of really good guys. I'm going to go with experience over youth here. I think Mike Browne might have the wrestling edge. I think he can hang in the stand-up. I'm going to go with Mike Browne to win this one. Okay, next fight after that, we got 2 guys that are very similar to each other, actually, as Diego Brandao fights Daniel Pineda. One thing that's really interesting about both these guys they both always push forward. They're super aggressive, and their striking at times is wild and reckless. Brandao, 17-8 record, 9 wins by KO TKO, 5 wins by sub. He actually has 4 losses by KO or TKO. Doesn't surprise me because the guy leaves holes in his stand-up. He's 26 years old on a 2-fight win streak and trains at Jackson's. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is really good. You saw it against Dennis Bermudez when he got dropped and then went for the armbar. And then in his last fight against the Scarecrow, jeez, how did I forget his name? I remember his nickname. It's Scarecrow. Okay, I'll refer to him as Scarecrow. He took him down, arm triangle, done. Brandao though, got some heavy hands. Really aggressive guy. His cardio is actually improving, and the reason why Brandao's cardio is improving, you see it in the Joey Gambino fight, as well as the fight against Scarecrow, is that he's having a lot more measured approach to his fighting as of late under Jackson. You saw against like the Alcantara fight, first round, crazy good first round, going all out. Rounds 2 and 3, he's done. And after that, you kind of saw against like Gambino and his fight after that. Jeez, how could I forget the guy's name? that he just has a lot more measured approach. He's not going super crazy anymore. And he showed improved wrestling in his last fight as well. Pineda though, 18-9 record, 6 wins by KO TKO, 12 wins by sub, has 6 losses by sub. He's a finisher, man. He's 28 years old, wild striking, always pushing forward. His Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is really good. He submitted Justin Lawrence via Kimura in his last fight. Always taking risk on the ground. Good scrambler, Very similar guys here. I think Diego Brandao, though, is working a little more on being less of the wild man as of late. Being a lot more measured, yet still showing good offense. He still has some good stand-up. His ground game is very strong as well. I'll go Diego Brandao to win this one. Okay, on to the Facebook prelims. Oh, Pablo Garza was the guy. Yeah, Diego Brandao last beat Pablo Garza. Jeez. Okay. Finally. Okay, on to the Facebook prelims. We have Manny Gamburyan versus Cole Miller. Cole Miller, fun guy to watch. He kind of decided somewhere along the way that he's going to be a really fun fighter, take risk. And, he has a 19-7 record with 3 wins by KO TKO, 14 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by KO TKO. Coming off a win over Bart Palashetsky, he submitted him via rear naked choke. 29 years old, trains out of American Top Team. His Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is solid. This guy out 14 wins, tall and lanky guy, crafty on the ground. I believe it was against Dan Lauzon that he got a triangle Kimura combination on. It was pretty cool. His striking is improving, but defensively he's always had problems. Nam Fan was able to beat him in the stand-up after Cole Miller pretty much abandoned using his reach, his jab pretty much. Palashetsky was getting the better of the stand-up on him until Miller managed to take its back and choke him out. Gamburyan, though, 12-7 record, 2 wins by KO TKO, 6 wins by sub. 32 years old. He's got a judo base. So he's got a base in judo. And he's really relentless about getting takedowns and has good top control. Stand-up's good. It's not great. He also has defensive holes. And his stand-up, you saw against like Rob Emerson, for example. despite that, I think if Miller's able to beat Gamburyan in the stand-up, Gamburyan will be able to get the takedowns on Cole Miller. And because of that, I'm going to go with Manny Gamburyan to win this one, especially if he uses his takedown ability. I think that he'll be able to take him down, ride top control, and get the win. Next fight after that, Cody Donovan fights Ovince Saint-Preux, or OSP. Well, Donovan, 8-2 record, 4 wins by KO TKO, 3 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses, or his 2 losses are by KO TKO. He's 32 years old. On a 4-fight win streak, he's coming off a knockout win over Nick Penner. Trains at Grudge. With OSP, 13-5 record, 6 wins by KO TKO, 3 wins by sub. 30 years old on a 2-fight win streak. His last fight against John Vellante, first round was pretty good, but it was pretty much a stinker. He's a good kickboxer and just a really athletic guy. He's got some pretty heavy hands. His wrestling is improving as well, and his cardio is terrible. Yeah, not terrible, but you can definitely see that he's a guy that continually slows down as the fight progresses. I think Ovince Saint-Preux, he's still a prospect at 205. If he has a good showing here, maybe he'll, show why he's a decent prospect. And 205 needs prospects bad. I think he might be able to beat Cody Donovan up in defeat. Like I said, his wrestling is improving as well. I'm going to go with Ovince Saint-Preux to win this one. Okay, and finally, James Vick fights Ramsey Nijem. Okay, with Vick, he has a 4-0 undefeated record with 1 win by TKO, 2 wins by sub. It's his first official fight in the UFC, fought on The Ultimate Fighter. Really well known as a guy who need Detroit superstar Darren Cruikshank. Yeah, Cruikshank was winning the stand-up, hitting really good kicks and whatnot. Inexplicably goes for a takedown, gets kneed, knocked out. Vick is that guy. Vick's pretty tall too, if I'm not mistaken. Nijem, 7-3 record with 2 wins by KO TKO, 2 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by KO TKO. He most recently got knocked out cold by Miles Jury. And Miles Jury is looking like a pretty good prospect as of late. 25 years old, trains at Pit Elevated. Nijem's strength is his wrestling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. His defense in the stand-up's pretty bad. I think he fought Proctor and he managed to drop him, or I think he finished him with strikes, if I'm not mistaken. But he got tagged pretty bad himself. Striking's a bit reckless and leaves a lot of defensive holes in there. So if he stands with Vick, I can still see Vick winning the fight. However, if Nijem uses his wrestling, his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and whatnot, I can see him get the win. Also, octagon jitters and whatnot. I'll go with Ramsey Nijem to win this one. Okay, let's go recap. Okay, Mauricio Shogun fights Chael Sonnen. I got Sonnen winning that one. Travis Browne versus Alistair Overeem. I got Alistair Overeem winning that one. Okay. Uriah Faber versus Uriah Alcantara. I'm going with the upset here. Gotta go with Uriah Alcantara to win that one. And Mike Pyle versus Matt Browne. I got Matt the Immortal Browne winning. Uriah Hall fights John Howard. I'm gonna go with Uriah Hall to win that. Joe Lauzon fights Michael Johnson. I'll go with Joe Lauzon. I think it's a bad stylistic matchup for Michael Johnson. On to the prelims, which are also on Fox Sports 1. I have Michael McDonald beating Brad Pickett. I think Conor McGregor will beat Max Holloway. I think that one should be a close fight, to be honest with you. I have the experienced Mike Browne beating Steven Siler. And I have Diego Brandao beating Daniel Pineda. On to Facebook prelims, I got Manny Gamburyan over Cole Miller, Ovince Saint-Preux over Cody Donovan, and Ramsey Nijem over James Vick. So, that's it for my predictions for UFC on Fight Night 26, Sonnen versus Shogun. This happens on August 17th. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And that's it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much.